Okay, I'm actually here because of a Middle Eastern love story, and I'll tell you the story straight away. Think of this hard-working entrepreneur working all his life, all the God-given hours that someone can work, and he promised his wife when he finished two things. He promised her a beautiful home and a fantastic holiday. So he built her the beautiful home, and they went on the fantastic holiday. But when they came back, they opened the front door, and literally a flood of water greeted them. The home was literally destroyed. What had happened is one of the builders had put a pin upstairs in a pipe, and about 1,700 litres of water per hour was going, left over the weekend, literally destroyed it. So he made himself a promise. He decided that he was going to put together a Fitbit come fuse box for water, so that this would not happen again, so that if there was that disaster, it would be prevented. And that's why I'm standing here today. So what's a nice boy from northwest London, because that's where I come from, talking to you today? Well, actually, believe it or believe it not, leakage is a huge problem. 3.1 billion litres of water that's supposed to get to our homes, our offices, where we work, our facilities, doesn't actually get there. In actual fact, 3.1 billion litres of water is wasted every day. It doesn't get to where it gets. That's about 20% of the water flowing through our pipes goes away in leakage. The bad news is the water that actually gets to you guys, actually, 20% on average of your water bill, whether it's your home or commercially, 20% is actually paid, we're paying leakage. We've got lots and lots of hidden leaks. So that leakage actually goes on to you guys. Not only that, but the bad news is you pay for it. So worse than that is this horrifying statistic over here, which is 3.9 million quid a day is paid out by UK insurers for escape of water claims. You're more likely to suffer an escape of water claim than you are fire or anything else actually with regards to that. So why is that? Why do we have this problem in the UK? Well, actually, we have a propensity to build here in the UK, to renovate. So if you like, the semi with one bed has now become an extended, there's another floor, the ensuite bathroom. We love adding on. In actual fact, recently we did a building, and it was quite amazing. It was a lovely Queen Anne building in Covent Garden, and actually there were five different types of piping that we found there. There was lead piping, quite horrific, but it still abounds. There was copper piping, there was ceramic piping, which apparently was used, I didn't know this, in between the wars, and there was also about 4 different types of plastic piping. Why? Because from Queen Anne's time, right up until 2008, the building had constantly been renovated every 20 or 30 years. And we're seeing that in the City of London all the time. And we're also seeing the fact that because of Brexit, or not because of Brexit, we're also seeing the fact that poor installation, workmanship, we're finding physical and mechanical damage. If we go to the good Lord, he told us about climate change, and we've all suffered from the beast of the east. Weather does that as well. If 2 Christmases ago we had a terrible cold Christmas, which of course none of us can cope with, but our pipes can't cope with it. So what can we do to avert these type of disaster? What can we do to monitor our water and to prevent disaster? Well, here it is. Back to the love story. This is what the guy came up with. He came up with a Flowless device. And what this does, it's a very clever piece of kit. It looks exactly like a water meter. In fact, if we had any plumbers sitting here, and Marcus is well qualified in that way, they would say, well, hang on, that's a water meter. And it is a water meter. It's got the carcass of a water meter. And we did that deliberately so that any plumber could fit it. But the difference is that once the plumber's fitted it, just like you pair your phone in your car, this is paired. And what it does is it starts to learn how you use your water in your building. It learns it. It learns exactly the way you use your water. It's got an interesting bit of kit. It's got a little GSM card in here, so it works on GSM. It's got a little computer, and over here it's got a shut-off valve, so that if there's a leak, it can actually automatically shut the valve off for you as if you've programmed it like that. That leads actually to 3 big pluses. What that leads to is risk mitigation. So if you have that awful burst water pipe, boom, in the middle of the night. It can automatically shut the water off for you, or it will send you an alert so that you can shut the water off from your phone. It gives you data analysis because it's constantly learning how you use your water and able to report that to you, whether that's on a monthly, weekly, daily, or even hourly basis. And finally, what that allows you to do is to reduce your bill. Because if you know how you use your water, you can then react to that and actually introduce water efficient measures to reduce the way you use your water. And we'll look at that in a little while. So what we've got is machine learning, understanding how you use your water, understanding how, via the Internet of Things, understanding how the water is used, monitoring it constantly, and safeguarding you all the time. So what it does is different settings allow you to set it as you want. So if you want to only use a specific amount of water before you get an alert, you can actually do that. We have two types of unit. We have a unit that operates on battery, but we prefer to use an AC unit. That way we're actually able to give you a better service. But both work perfectly with regard to monitoring a building for you. So what we're able to do is to understand how you use your water. How do we do that? Well, actually it measures the flow of water, but also there's a very clever bit of kit that actually enables us to analyse the way you use your water, because each bit of water producing kit actually produces an algorithm. So this is the algorithm for medium irrigation. So it's like every bit of water producing kit has a special water fingerprint. So that's medium irrigation. This is a toilet flush. So what we're actually able to do is analyse the algorithm and let you know how you're using your water, where you're using your water. So if there's a toilet that's stuck, we're actually able to tell you because we can analyse the algorithm. So let's take that into real life. These are two real-life case studies that actually happened. The first is the catastrophic leak. This was a lovely building in the West End, and basically it was being developed. It was a retail shop, lovely dress shop, I believe, and they were building 3 floors or so above it. And it was a construction site. They put a flowless unit there, and that was monitoring the water. At 2:47, bingo, burst pipe. 4 minutes after the pipe burst, going at 1,600 litres of water, just to give you an idea, 70 litres is a bath, so 1,600 litres is an awful lot of water. The facility manager got an alert saying there's a leak. And straight after that, he had it set to automatic shut-off. The leak was shut off. So he came in next morning, he knew precisely where the leak was, fixed the leak, site was back to normal, everybody came to work on site. If the flowless device hadn't intervened, it would have been a 3-week clean-up. Probably the shop below would have totally got flooded and all those lovely dresses ruined. And furthermore, there would have been a huge insurance claim. So that's a catastrophic leak. But my favourite story is actually the hidden leak. We did a pizza shop in Covent Garden. It was actually that Queen Anne building, lovely building, and there'd been loads and loads of leaks there. So the guy who ran the shop wanted to make sure that he had the flowless in place, and it worked very nicely for him, very happy. He never wanted the water to be shut off automatically, so he had it set to manual alerts. It would send him an alert. Anyway, he gets an alert at 4 in the morning, rushes to the shop, and he can't find any water. And basically it had said there were 900 litres of water going an hour. So next morning he rang me up, he said, your meter, she no work. I'm very sorry, she no work. She called me in the middle of the night, nothing, there is nothing there. So I said to him, well, hang on a second, I promise you it's working. No, there is hotel next door. Hotel next door, she go into my water, take my water, I am paying the water. So I said, hang on a second, let's just calm down about this. So we actually took that to analytics, showing basically 900 litres of water going, and they said to us, he's got a water softener, ask him to check his water softener. So we asked him to check his water softener, and sure enough, the water softener was broken. It was filling up 900 litres and emptying constantly. Now, as far as he was concerned, no leak on the floor, everything in the restaurant was working absolutely brilliantly. He wouldn't have known about it. That leak would have cost him 9 grand a quarter. Okay, we caught it straight away, and we were able to recognise it because the water softener algorithm. They knew in the office on analysis that it was the water softener. So there you are, the catastrophic leak and the hidden leak. So what's really important for us, and this took a long time for us to realise actually, was that this is not fit and forget. We really need a dedicated team behind this. And the first thing that we need to understand as the Aqualytics team is your client's needs, your needs. What do you need? So we visited the building and we had two people sitting there. One was the facility manager and one was the managing agent. And as far as the managing agent was concerned, all he wanted was to know exactly how much water his building used. That was all he was interested in. So as far as he was concerned, put one unit in, chaps, and I'll be able to tell how my building uses its water. I'll be able to tell the quantity of water being used every day, every month, every week, every hour. I can print my reports out, etc. But the facility manager wanted something different. What he actually wanted was a unit on each floor, because he'd had a leak on the 3rd floor and it had totally devastated the whole building. So in actual fact, he said, no, what I'd actually like is for you guys to put in 4 units so that we can actually cover our whole building, a bit like zoning the building. And this is precisely what we do. We zone the building. So, lovely cartoon there. And you can see here, these are the different units. And basically, the rule of thumb is it's 1 unit per floor. And that way, we can actually shut the water off if necessary on the 19th floor if there's a leak. And we can actually tell you there's a leak on the 19th floor, literally within minutes of that leak occurring. So, basically, work goes on as usual. So it's very important that we understand how you use your water. And working with Marcus, it's been terrific because Marcus actually saw this and he said to us, well, hang on a second, chaps. What we can do with your unit is establish a baseline, because lots of people know how much water they use, but they're not sure how they're using it. So suppose we can actually say to a building manager, you're using X amount of cubes of water and establish that per month. And then bring Marcus in to slowly put in water efficient products. We can actually measure down to 0.4 litres how much water you're actually able to save. Okay, so this is an image of the dashboard system, and I'll be sitting up front with Dubi. I'll give Dubi a shout out. He's from the land of Israel, who actually manufacture this. And basically, it's a very, very simple dashboard. They did it actually for people like me who aren't too high tech. And it gives you literally your monthly, your weekly, your daily, your hourly usage. There's a little red button. If we push that button, we turn your water off remotely, or you can turn your own water off remotely. We've also got an app that does the same. And there's the message that you can see that the facility manager would get depending on how he set the system up. Okay, and that's really important, because what we established very, very clearly and right at the outset was, how do you want to manage your building? That's really important. And we need policies in place. So if you're an oligarch and you've got a fantastic London home that you only visit in the summer, you don't want the machine to be constantly learning how you're using your water, because as soon as you come home after 10 months away, you're going to start getting alerts. So there's a special override button, and we know that whilst it's in override, whilst it's away, basically, it's not going to learn how you use your water. There are policies that you can institute. So for instance, on our building site back in the West End, our facility manager there, he has a policy whereby the water is shut off every night at 7 o'clock and is turned back on at 6 in the morning. However, if he has a deep clean during a time that he needs that, he can actually override that policy. If over a bank holiday he knows that he's got people coming in, he can set the threshold to 400 litres, and he won't get any alerts whilst the building is using 400 litres. It's actually quite amusing. We actually had a client who asked us to set a policy up for them, and they said, we want the policy to start because our cleaners are in from 6 to 8 o'clock at night. So we want every night the water to be turned off at 8 o'clock. And we said, well, have a look at your dashboard. So he looked at his dashboard and he said, goodness, I've just realised that the cleaners who charge us from 6 to 8 o'clock actually never use any water from 7 to 8. So he actually had quite an interesting chat with his cleaning company. But there are different policies that you can set as the owner, as the facilitator. You can have as many text messages as you want. It's very important, though, with artificial intelligence, that actually there is a clear chain of command as to who gets the text and how they're dealt with. Because obviously, 7 people can get the texts, but if no one reacts, then actually your water might still be flowing. So it's very important that when we do a handover, that the client actually understands how the water is being used, and also what they should do to mitigate the loss and to actually act. So, I've got stuff. Okay, so that's why, as I said, it's not fit and forget. There's a customer support service, which is really important, which analyzes what is happening in the cloud, which feeds the dashboard, which will then generate alerts to the appropriate person. We're very lucky in that we've partnered recently with Aviva, and the reason we partnered with Aviva is they were actually having huge amounts of losses, especially with regard to construction and actually sometimes even sports facilities. Dare I say, even here at Spurs, and I'm a Spurs fan, during construction, oftentimes that's actually when a building is most vulnerable to potential escape of water claims, or after a couple of years as well, actually, normally 2 years actually is another vulnerable point. So we partnered with Aviva, and the way Aviva described it, they described us as being disruptive technology, because what they've said to us is that we actually have been able to make the uninsurable insurable again. We've been lucky enough to win a couple of awards. One of them was presented by the good Lord himself, thank you very much indeed, at the EMA. We really appreciate it. And we've really enjoyed listening to our clients and working with our clients, because it's really important, as I said, that we understand the needs of our clients. And I must say, working with our manufacturers, here in the UK, we have some unique problems with it when it comes to plumbing, but we can always go to them and say, can you find us a solution for this particular problem? And they do. So what uses can we be used for? Well, construction, that's an obvious one. Commercial, that's both with regards to retrofit and new build. We're finding the commercial world in particular, facility managers don't have time to cope with all the demands upon them and their teams. What this enables them to do actually is be able to view all their units, if necessary, on one screen and react accordingly, so they like us. And residential, funnily enough, we're doing an awful lot of work now with high-end residential, because actually what this is it's a springboard to, if you like, a smart home, smart water. It is very much the Fitbit come fuse box for the world of water.